There we go. All right, everybody, we are live for our next episode of Indie Inquiries, where each week we review indie game store pages and provide marketing advice for them. I am Josh Placer from Game Wisdom, and join me, my co-host from Nexus Games, Sharky.
Hello, everybody. And I think we almost have a new name for the company.
Awesome.
I don't know if I want to say it at this point because I'm not 100% sure, but the one I'm looking at is Nexus and one word underneath it, similar to our own, but it'll be a very different logo.
Mm-hmm. So, each week, as I said, we will be reviewing and examining indie game store pages. We are always looking for submissions for these shows. So if you'd like to suggest a game or working on one you want us to critique, please get in touch. But are you ready to get started with this week's entries?
Uh, After that last bit of pre-show, yeah, I hope so.
Mm-hmm. All right, then let's get to it. All right. So, for this week, we're going to be starting off with Sprocket Tank Design. This was suggested by a fan of the game who wanted us to take a look at it here on the show.
So this wasn't even submitted by the developer.
No. But it is a game that definitely some interesting things that we're going to take a look at, especially in terms of how it's being marketed. But
Mm,
as always, let's begin with the thumbnail. And not a fan of this thumbnail.
no, not at all. It certainly has a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the bright sprocket, both the actual sprocket and the name sprocket does draw your eyes, but they're almost the exact same color, and they are physically touching in the T. And
Yeah.
Also, when you look at contrast values in art wise, there's not very much contrast between the K, E, T, and the background that's behind them.
Yeah.
There's somewhat good behind the C and good behind the RO and really good behind the S and a P. But the thing is it's inconsistent all the way across. And it's not like this, it's not like an inconsistency that is consistent, if that makes any sense. Like when you have an action scene and you can, you have it over characters and everything, that's like more of a consistent, you know, inconsistency, where this is a inconsistent inconsistency, kind of thing.
Is that safely extreme?
Well, this is extremely extreme.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that the name of the game is Sprocket. That's what everything is linking to. They have tank design there, and the lettering for tank design is very weird because you can see that all the letters are kind of scruffed except for a N, and that K you can't even make out that bottom part of it.
Yeah, like they were going for a battle damage or worn kind of look. And I think that kind of look works. But the fact that A and N didn't get the treatment and K got way, way too much of the treatment makes it look like Tanny design. You know, you get to, it's the, tanning salon design simulator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the whole thumbnail just is not really telling us anything about what this game is going to be.
There is somewhat some structure though, because like the points of the gear are pointing towards the name, so
Mm-hmm.
that does give it structure to, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not forming triangles, which is what you want.
Yeah.
So it's not the best structure, it's a structure, which is better than what we've seen in some thumbnails kind of thing. The gear definitely, has this, eye grabbing, pull to you, but rest of the thumbnail does not. And
Yeah.
the gear does direct you to the name, which is good, at
Mm-hmm.
least. But like, I mean, I realize that this is a zoomed in to a tank treads, and that's the center gear of the tank treads. But the thing is it took me a while to realize that.
Yeah,
And
and that is way too long for a consumer.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like, it's not the worst thumbnail we've seen, but it's just not really doing anything to market this game.
Yeah,
And
it's
when we,
not telling me what we're doing in this game,
yeah,
because like even if I realize that that's a tank drone, it's like, okay, so it's tanks. It's a sprocket. Okay, that's telling me everything I already knew from the
yeah,
name,
yeah,
but it's
and
not telling me anything new. And it took me a long time to even figure that out. And
that's
consumers will not be giving it that time of
no,
day.
yeah. And when we show the trailer off in like the next 20 seconds, it's going to look nothing like this thumbnail.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to see when it comes to a good thumbnail design. The only exception would be we're talking about like a retro game and you're using like more of a different art style, kind of like
Like
emulating
going
like the
in.
NES era.
Yeah.
So grade wise, I don't feel it's in the F territory, but I feel like D minus D for this. Maybe a little higher. What about you?
I don't think I'd give it a D minus because I mean it does draw your eye.
Mm-hmm.
It does have the structure, but like everything else is messed up on it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean they could have gone with any other color on this text and been way better. Like they could have gone with the I think it's analogous color scheme where it's orange and blue and made this blue and it would have looked way better. It'd still have tons of issues, but the text would be a lot more readable. Everything would fit better, and it would look artistically better.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd give it a solid D.
All right. Yeah, I think D, maybe D plus on a good day, but I think leaning
You were
more
saying
towards
D
D.
minus earlier.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to tell with this one. Like as you said, there's a little bit of structure, but it's still hurting. I think marketability wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll go with D. All right, are you ready for the trailer?
The question is Steam ready for the trailer? But yes, I am.
All right, I am playing. So super fast cold
Steam
opening.
is not playing at all.
Uh oh.
Like it's just black screen. Like I'm gonna have to refresh my page.
All right.
Okay. Okay, now it's working. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go.
All right.
Not really much of a cold opening there.
So we have all this tank customization, which it looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And my inner builder, while I care nothing about tanks, my inner builder was like, yes, yes, and yes.
My concern is I feel like the UI UX of this game is going to be hard for new people.
Oh yeah, the UX looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
And UI in general looks generic.
The models look really impressive, like the actual tanks.
Yeah, they do.
And I like at the 43-second mark that the music is syncing to the guns or to the tanks firing.
I just realized what that was. That we thought was ammo they were running over. It was actually burned down trees. But like, it doesn't look like burned down trees. It looks like you're running over ammo to collect it.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. And they're blowing up tanks, and they're just firing out of the top, and not actually exploding. And I think that's really hurting this trailer.
Yeah. Also, I just realized that when we get to the call to action at the end, a lot of those letters are being, completely drowned out by the orange of that cog behind them.
Yeah, the same problem as it has with the thumbnail.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't tell you where to get the game at. It doesn't tell you
Yeah.
that it's on Steam. By the way,
Yeah.
can we get a test in your chat?
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, the stuff that's shown during the trailer, I think, is really good. Like,
Yeah.
this is a game that is clearly aimed at the inner mechanic, the customization guy, the one who likes to like play war games, trying to make their tanks as realistic as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I fit into the mechanic side and the customization side. The war stuff, like I could care less about. I could
Mm-hmm.
care less about tanks, but all the other stuff, yes, 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 and yes,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm very much the car mechanic simulator guy.
Yeah. And I
I
think
played that
that's
nonstop
where,
on stream for a long time.
yeah. So I mean, this is one of those cases where there's not really a lot of structure to it. It
I think
has
there's a good bit
some.
of structure. Like
I
it has a cold opening, but it's not a good cold opening. It
It has a
has
call to
a
action, but not
climax that
good.
is not a it's
Yeah.
not a good climax because it's just fire coming out of the top of the tank rather than a giant explosion of a tank actually blowing up.
Yeah, and I think
And
that's
like the
what it
call to action
needs.
just isn't calling to action.
Yeah. It needs an explosive finish, I think. An
Yeah,
actual
literally
explosion. Yeah.
a literal explosive
Yeah.
finish, and it needs an explosive beginning.
Yeah. I would love, we were talking on the pre-stream, to have like an actual like time lapse, go from nothing to full tank. Like I think that would be something very impressive to show off for a game like this.
Yeah,
So overall, this is a this is I think a pretty good trailer for again this kind of game. Like if this was supposed to be a hardcore action kind of game, this would be a poor trailer for it. But
mm,
for somebody who's into customization, building something like a vehicle and watching it go,
mechanics and stuff.
yeah, I think this hits those check marks really well.
Yeah, it just did not sell the explosion of the tanks,
Yeah.
and it
So,
also did not sell the call to action because like
mhm.
people who are not looking at this on Steam, people who are looking at it on YouTube, wherever, Twitter, where do I get this game? Is it on Sony? Is it on, Microsoft? Is
Mhm.
it on,
The tank view at one point, like from inside, looked like it was a mobile game. Maybe it's on mobile.
yeah, maybe it's on mobile.
And I mean,
Mm,
again, this is one of those trailers that's a little hard to grade because it's really aimed at a different market than again some of the games that we normally cover. But
It's not that hard for me because like I can see everything being on point. Just they need an explosion. They need some Michael Bay in here. You know what I mean? They need
mhm.
a little splash of Michael Bay in here
There is
to really
actually an
sell that at
explosion at the 49-second mark, but it's like one of those blink and you'll miss it moments.
49 seconds.
Hmm. Something blew up. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, it's off in the distance.
Yeah.
Why do they not have that? Like something like that close up, or even semi close, rather than just that fire coming out the top of the hatch, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So grade wise, I feel like this is definitely higher than a C. I
Yeah,
don't think it goes into A range.
no. I think a little bit of adjustments to this, and it could easily go into the A range. I
Yeah.
think if they had, some explosions like that, like at the 49-second mark, but
Hmm.
closer at the climax, and
Hmm.
if they had some, a longer and better code opening, you know, and if they had, actually done their call to action right and put that it's on Steam and wherever else it's available, I think this would be an AA plus.
Yeah.
But without that stuff, I don't think it's in the A range. I think that it's B plus at best.
I think
And
for me, I think I'm gonna lean more towards B.
I think I'd go B too. But like I said, B plus at best
Yeah.
on a good day.
Yeah. And
But
again, like what this trailer has for it is that what it shows off, I think really screams towards that market.
yeah, And as we've said before, it's easy. It's so easy to get a C, and it's so hard to get
in the
it's
A.
hard to get a B or D, and it's even harder to get an A or an F.
Yeah, like you have to either do something really, really great or really, really terrible to get into like those like to the extremes.
Yeah, which we will see later.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the screenshots. So we have a total of 6 screenshots. Now, the confusing thing about them is that we've seen these tanks in the trailer, but not like in like this like in the customization UI.
Yeah, and I I think that's a bad thing because like we need to be seeing different tanks here. You know,
Yeah, like we need to see like some other models, other things to it. The third screenshot is kind of a wash because it's just like tank and darkness. It's almost like a horror game.
I think that works. I mean, but like I they need better. And is that an FPS counter on the screen right there?
Uh,
59 in the corner.
could be.
Yeah, because it's in the corner of another the fifth one.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't put definitely do not put your FPS counter on here.
yeah,
And it wouldn't hurt to get rid of all the UI, but like maybe instead of just getting rid of the UI, zoom in a bit. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
Just
yeah.
crop the screenshot a little bit and zoom in.
On like the action shots, like for the ones
Yeah,
that show customization, no, we definitely want to
yeah,
see the UI there.
yeah. Definitely all the UI for that.
Yeah,
Although I think there's a bit of UI issue with this UI. It's
yeah,
kind of plain and generic. I mean, it
yeah.
worked functionally, maybe.
But yeah, like this is definitely one of those games that I can see myself loading this up and then just immediately turning it off because I'll be so confused by what I'm looking at.
Depends on how their onboarding is.
Yeah,
I was just talking about their UI art itself. I mean, like
yeah,
it's just different colors of black with a with a tannish color on it,
mm-hmm,
and it just looks generic. You know what I mean?
yeah. So
I mean, it doesn't look like an asset. I mean, it very well could be, but it
uh
doesn't look like one. It doesn't. It's it doesn't extrude low quality. It
yeah,
just extrudes genericness.
yeah, and I would like a screenshot showing again like a tank on fire, a tank explosion, or even just a tank firing its gun. You know,
Yeah.
something to wow. And I don't think any of these screenshots are actually wowing me.
Or like the part of the trailer where they're looking down the barrel of
Yeah.
the thing.
So, screenshots wise, they have above the minimum. They're all are unique, but it's missing that one amazing screenshot. You know, that one that really sells you on this. So,
Yeah, and it also none of these screenshots are, quote unquote good screenshots.
yeah.
They're none of them zoomed in, none of them cropped,
Yeah.
none of them
Yeah,
missing, UI stuff to it.
so
They're all just, we took a screenshot kind of thing, and
yeah.
just
And
just a bare screenshot.
yeah, so for
Which
me,
in some cases is good. It's good in the case of the customization part, but the other part's not so much.
mhm. So like for me, this does not get into the A range.
No.
I
And
it
plus the tanks are repeating, even though
yeah
it's new screenshots,
of
it's
them. Yeah.
repeating the same
Hmm.
tanks, and we're not with all the tanks they can possibly build in here, the fact that they're repeating them doesn't sell the game very well.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those cases where everything they put into the trailer, like in terms of like building the assets or playing the game to get that footage, they also use to get these screenshots.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
What they needed to do was of their people who were testing the game behind the scenes, run a contest between them and see who can make the craziest tank designs,
hmm,
and whoever made it, the top however many, that made it kind of thing. We put those on the Steam store page,
yeah.
as
So
screenshots because
grade wise, think I'm
They
leaning towards
really missed the
solid
opportunity
B.
there.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I'd go B plus.
I'll go with solid B for me. Yeah, it's just I feel like the game would be doing a little bit better job of selling itself.
Yeah, they could have definitely done a lot better. Like I said, feel like they really missed that opportunity with
Mm-hmm.
having their testers go
Yep.
through and make crazy tanks and then compete for who can make the craziest, coolest tank.
Yeah. So it looks like, according to the full version, it will have cooperative multiplayer, but that it does not have it listed as a multiplayer game. So that is something to keep in mind when we get to the title card section.
Yeah.
All right,
So we're
so
ready to go to this game page.
yep. All right, so the gifts are really damn good. Like
Mm-hmm.
again, like if you're somebody who likes mechanical stuff, you like customization. I mean, this is, I think, again, checking those boxes for you.
Yeah.
I
And
would,
that second GIF is clearly not a D-mod on YouTube.
eh. You just leave that up on the screen until YouTube takes down the stream.
Yeah, exactly.
So the store page, it has good structure to it.
Yeah, they have blue text. They keep each section down to just one or two sentences. Occasionally a paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
They only have the paragraph for the attached parts one, but they're keeping their text low.
Relatively
They're
light,
doing
yeah.
blue text to separate it out. They
I
do
w-
have GIFs to break it up, but they don't have enough GIFs to break it up enough.
Yeah. And like I said a few minutes ago, somewhere on this page, I want to see a time lapse of, nothing to full tank, whether it's in the trailer or as a GIF. But
Mm,
somewhere I think it needs it on this kind of game.
yeah, they for armor design. I mean, they should have put a GIF there showing different armor. You know,
Engine design.
yeah, and one for
Scenario.
engine design too.
Yep.
Fuel tank design could definitely put a GIF there, and transmission design.
Internal
There's,
component health. Like, show me like a tank getting battle damage. Show me
yeah,
a tank blowing up.
yeah.
I mean, this is
Powertrain simulation. Show me the UI for that.
yeah, like this is one of those games. Well, we always say that games need gifs, they need more images, but this is definitely one of those games that if you're kind of basing it all on customization and all that, you gotta show that off.
Yeah,
Because that's gonna be your bread and butter for a game like this.
yeah, exactly.
So
And they're really missing out on the opportunity that they have
yeah.
before themselves on that.
Yeah. So grade wise, I don't think it does enough to push into A rank for me.
I
But
think if they just had a few more GIFs, this would
yeah.
be an easy A plus.
Yeah, like if it had like if this was kind of like auction not included, where every section had a GIF or an image, easy A plus, I think, for a page like this.
Yeah, I
But
think even if they just had three more
mhm,
GIFs, I think this would be an easy A plus.
yeah. But
But they could have done better than that.
yeah. And there's like no banner, there's nothing.
That would
Excuse me.
be going beyond,
Yeah.
or maybe not A plus with three more GIFs, but
At least
easy A.
easy A, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think for me, B plus. What about you?
yeah, I'm thinking the exact same thing.
It has structure. It has good structure. It's just like we say, as we start to push into high B A territory, you have to knock our socks off.
Yeah,
And
the
I
farther away from C you go in the negative or positive, the farther you have to knock our socks off
yeah. And
in bad way or good way.
yeah. And again, like it's one of those games where you have a lot, I think, that you can show off to get people excited about it. They just need to do more with it.
Yeah,
So let's go to the title card. So if this game is going to have multiplayer, I bet what they're doing is that they're not mentioning multiplayer because it's nowhere in the game yet. Like they don't want to put.
I'm pretty sure Steam would not allow it, right?
Yeah. So
Because they do checks on stuff like that.
yeah. So
Because
if
when
this.
I submitted my last game, they wouldn't let me submit it with control customization because that was one of the last things we were doing in development, kind of thing. Because the current build did not have it.
Yeah. So if this game does get multiplayer, the title card should be updated to represent that.
But they should definitely add single player to it
Yep.
because it is single player. That's an easy give me. They already have 4 attacks, so we're not going to ping them on that because they've already went beyond.
Yeah. And
but
I think
they could have done better.
Yeah, and simulation I think is a really good genre tag for this one.
Yeah, and so is action.
Yep. So we have a
Early
Twitter.
access is a give me. Indies a give me. Single players a give me, but they didn't take it.
Yeah. So developer and publisher the same name.
But they're a person's name and not a company name, and that's a red flag right there. You need a company name.
Sprocket Studios. Sprocket. So
Sprocket's Incorporated.
Yeah. So we did look
Or
up the
actually,
Twitter.
You can't use that legally, but unless you have an incorporation.
Yeah.
But you get the point.
Yeah. So we looked up the Twitter. There is no direct contact. There is an email on the early access section right down here, but that's not where you want that.
Yeah, and there's also a link to official Discord. But I feel like they're missing out with not having a YouTube channel, really a YouTube channel, but a second way to social media like Facebook or something. I don't know if I count Discord as social media. I mean, it's definitely social, but it's not really so much the media side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
because
again,
it's more private.
Yeah, like a game like this, like I would love to see like them have like weekly or monthly, tank building contests. Best tank gets a video on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Because again, if your game is about customization, you really have to sell that in all aspects.
Yeah.
So it does have, the stuff we're looking for.
Genre.
Yeah, it could use some more.
Yeah, and the Twitter needs to be able to contact them.
Yeah.
They need a name for their studio, not the person.
And at least one more social media access.
Preferably YouTube.
Yeah. What do you think? B plus? Maybe a little higher?
I'm thinking one of us gets B and the other gets B plus.
Yeah.
Because I think it's sort of right there at that line.
Yeah. Alright, I'll go with B then.
Alright, then I'll take the B plus.
Alright, so overall grade. So in an unusual turn of events, usually the most important thing, the trailer, is the lowest point for some of these games, and the thumbnail is better. But in this case, it's the reverse. With the trailer,
which is a good thing because your trailer is the main part of your grade.
Yeah, but the thumbnail is the second most important.
Yep.
So we gave the thumbnail, I think, a D plus or a D.
And we gave the trailer what?
I think a solid B.
I thought we gave it
B.
Maybe it was B plus.
Yeah. I think could have been. I think we were kind of like in the middle of it.
Yeah, we're in the middle.
We gave the screenshots, I think, a solid B, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thumbnail brings it down.
Yeah.
The images kind of stabilizes, but again, the thumbnail is more important, so it hits it really hard.
Yeah.
The about this game, we gave that, I think, a solid. I think we gave that B. I think we gave it a solid B. I think I gave it a B. You gave it a B plus, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think it would hold it or slightly raise it.
Yeah, and then title card, we gave it B plus as well,
which would hold or slightly raise.
So
really, I mean, we got a whole lot of holding and one reduction kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is just going to hold as a trailer grade. Yeah,
Yeah, I
as
feel.
B
Yeah,
overall.
I can't give this a B plus. Like I don't think it goes
Yeah.
that high. In the same breath, I don't think this goes into the C range, even a high C. So I think,
Yeah, the
eh,
trailer was on that line of BB plus, and I think
yeah,
the thumbnail is what cost it that B plus.
yeah, uh,
If the thumbnail was B territory, I think this would be a B plus page. But
yeah. I think B is fair for this.
yeah,
All right. So before we switch, so make sure we are actually live on my side. I don't want anything confusing there. So, are you ready to move on to our next game?
yes,
All right. We are switching over to Candy Raid the Factory. So this is a game that we looked at during back when this was originally the Weird Games segment for our Sunday shows. So we never gave it like the full on critique. And
yeah,
we're going to be giving a critique today, aren't we?
certainly going to be lots of critiquing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a video the other day, last week, where we talked about our grading process, and basically in general, it's very hard not to get a C, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to really impress us to get a B or an A. You have to really
Shock us.
shock us to get anything below a C.
and
And this one will definitely go one of those directions or the other.
and you're going to find that out very quickly, I think.
Yeah,
So let's talk about the thumbnail. And it is not the best thumbnail. There's a giant, very hazy thing in the bottom right, which could be a lollipop or it could be some kind of ball. It's really hard to tell.
it'd be a giant stop sign.
And the title, the factory does not need to be that big. If you remember when we looked at like Ori, or games that have like a predominant, a title and a subtitle, that the title needs top billing, and the
Yeah,
factory kind of takes over on this.
yeah. This is not Candy Raid the Factory. This is a factory Candy Raid. Because
And
factory is a lot bigger font, and
there,
it stands out a lot more because it's white and black versus the white, black, and then the red that's kind of transitioning on Candy Raid.
yeah, and
There's a lot more contrast between the white and black than when you have the red softening the contrast on the Candy Raid part.
yeah, and everything looks very washed out and blurry,
Yeah,
which does
it's
not
all
help.
blurry. It's blurry the image.
Yeah, and the
It feels
witch
like
does not.
somebody JPEG this and then JPEG that JPEG and then JPEG that JPEG and then JPEG that JPEG and then applied blur effect to it and then JPEG that JPEG.
And I wish the witch, or at least her outfit, was a different color, like something brighter, just to stand out from everything
Yeah, it
else.
also does not match the game's characters. When I look at this thumbnail and I look at anything else on this page for this game, and they look like two totally different games. They,
Yeah.
like if I was interested in this blurry, hazy, very, very crappy thumbnail, I would not be interested in this game.
Mm. And
And if I was interested in this game, I would not be interested in this blurry, hazy, very poor thumbnail.
and there's like a black line or a black border running all around this, which I don't know if that's due to a formatting issue or just a style for the thumbnail. But either way, it doesn't look good.
It's bad. Yeah. And like the only thing that pulls your eye into this thumbnail is that glowing circle of magic she's got,
Or the
which is
lollipop.
just circling around to itself and pulling your eye away from everything else. Plus, this thumbnail as a whole is very desaturated, and then you look at the game, it is very high saturation, and it's
Yeah.
just clashing. Like it's a totally different thing. Like I
Mm.
would if if I was interested in either the game or the thumbnail, I would not be interested in the other. And seeing how people, that's supposed to pull people in, is anybody who it pulls that thumbnail pulls in are clicking right off of this game because
Yeah.
it's nothing like the thumbnail.
Yeah.
And the thing is I'm pretty sure that thumbnail itself is pulling in absolutely nobody. There is no structure. There's no art.
The only like minor positive is that the text is legible,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's not enough to give it a good grade.
yeah.
So
And the text is still bad because the factory is bigger than the Candy Raid, and the factory stands out more than Candy Raid. And
mhm.
this is basically the exact thumbnail you don't want to make.
Yeah.
I
So
think I think I'll give this an F minus, if not an F minus minus.
I will be a little kinder. I'm going to give it a solid F, just on the fact that the text is legible. That just like barely dodges it for me.
I don't see text being legible being.
Because I've seen worse
Yeah.
thumbnails, which is maybe surprising to some, but
Have you
it's
seen worse thumbnails on the show though?
yeah,
Because I
maybe.
don't think we have.
But
I don't
yeah,
think we have.
I'll go F minus F. I'll go in that range, but that's I think the highest for me.
Yeah.
So, are you ready for the trailer?
Yeah. Hopefully, if Steam's ready for it.
All right? Are
No, it's
you?
not.
Uh.
It's black screen again. Let me refresh. All right, let's try this again. There we go.
All right, I'm playing mine. All
So
right,
no
so
code opening.
yeah, music's not really
Way too
matching.
long on this generic looking box
Yeah,
with
like
a
it's just like
generic looking
nothing.
controller.
Yeah,
Which, what is that about? For?
don't know. So footage is just like kind of raw footage of the game.
Yeah. And it just seems like just raw, unedited footage.
Yeah, we're only really showing two areas.
And my video acted up there on Steam.
Oh. Some of the footage gets like a little like blurry. I don't know if that's Steam or just the video itself.
I think it's a game because, like, I think it's got something to do with the way the animations are done, and the call to action is non-existent.
Yeah,
And
and
then
like
there's like
3 seconds of
this,
nothing.
yeah, there's just all this black screen after
Mm-hmm.
Candy Raid.
Yeah, so the trailer doesn't really have structure. That whole like hanging on this box at like the 5 second mark is just very weird. You could just
Yeah,
remove
and
that. It would have done. Probably would have made the trailer a little bit better.
a little bit better. It would have made it a lot better.
But we're only seeing.
You know, the thing is the first time I watched this, which, you know, most people are not going to watch it twice, I didn't notice any of the gameplay because I was too distracted by this game, you know, this box. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what the hell is that? What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And I was just asking myself the question through the entire watching of the trailer. And I bet if we got 1,000 people to watch this trailer, the second that game box popped up and stayed up for 5 seconds, it shouldn't be in here to begin with, mind you. But the second it popped up and those 5 seconds that it was up, I would bet that 950 of the 1,000 would have clicked off at that point. Now, mind you, of the 50 that were left, I bet 25 of them would have clicked off before it got to that point, and the other 25 wouldn't have made it halfway through the trailer.
Mm. And there's just no real structure to this trailer.
No,
And
it does have one structure,
mm,
and that's the structure of train wrecks.
mm.
You know,
And so this is not the trailer that would sell people on this game.
this is even if this is the best game ever, everybody's going to think this is the worst game ever because of this trailer.
So grade wise, I think F minus.
Yeah, F minus.
Yeah,
There's
like the
no
whole
denying that because like this trailer is horrible.
there's just nothing in here that I think like the whole like if they cut the box art, the 5 seconds of that may bring it up to an F.
Yeah. Like I think they could have done a 5 minutes let's play on YouTube and been completely silent during the whole entire thing with maybe some sniffling in the background, coughing, and that would have been better than this trailer.
And no call to action at the end, or really poor one. And
Yeah, yeah.
so
Solid F minus.
yeah.
If we even give it that high. I feel like F minus is almost generous at this point.
Mm. So screenshots. I know the final one was in the trailer, or at least something similar to it. The one with the
Yeah.
cauldron, it was a different scene of that cauldron, but still in the trailer.
I think it was exactly in that trailer. They just were, walking instead of not walking.
Mm. And
Which
then
that
like
may still be, not walk. That may still be walking, just one of the animation poses within it.
and we only have 5 screenshots, and a few of them really just look like what we've seen in the trailer. The
Yeah,
third one
three
is
of them.
just like he's in like a isolation chamber or something. He's just alone in there.
Yeah, and it's got pillow shading around all the stuff, and it's not looking good. And like you have black lines, black outlines for the character, but like colored outlines for everything else, and it just really kind of clashes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely not what we want from screenshots like this.
No, half of these screenshots don't exist to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Over half of them, three of the five, do not exist, and none of them are quote unquote good. None, I would say, you'd struggle for the other two to even be average.
So I don't think. Uh, I'm thinking maybe solid F for the screenshots. I don't know if I want to give another F minus.
I might be a little bit generous and give it an F plus.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. We'll go with F plus. All right. So as we
God,
said
when
earlier,
F
you can
plus is generous.
yeah maybe F.
Yeah,
All right. So as we said earlier, like once you kind of start going down the road to either an F or an A, we usually see store pages stay consistent like that,
yeah,
and I think you can tell where this one is going to be going to.
yeah.
So about this game, we have
Nothing.
yep,
We have less than nothing actually, because like,
no images, no gifs. We have a paragraph that kind of runs into the bullet points.
yeah, nothing meaningful here. You know, nothing here says I want to buy the game. It says glorious retro pixel art, but that pixel art is definitely not glorious.
Yeah, dozens of
I wouldn't
unique
say it's gloriously
puzzles.
bad, but it's definitely not gloriously
Yeah, and
good.
a GIF of using fire, ice, and wind would have been good here.
Yeah,
GIF of the 3 areas. Like again, this was meant to be a small game, but the point of the store page is you want to make it look like your game is bigger.
yeah. This all feels like somebody aiming for a minimal viable product, and all they aim for is actually not a viable product, just minimum. I mean,
Yeah,
this feels like minimum, 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 minimum.
yeah,
No, nothing else. And minimum gets a minimum grade, so I'm gonna go F minus.
yeah. Yeah, I think F minus F just because they have bullet points. So they didn't have the bullet points, it would be just F minus.
The bullet points are the only thing preventing me from going F minus minus, because the bullet points run into the text.
Yeah,
That's not enough for me to give it a higher grade. And the bullet points are also mostly pretty meaningless or a lie, like the
Mm-hmm.
glorious pixel art, retro pixel art,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think F
and family
minus.
friendly, you, nobody cares about a game being family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a quote unquote selling point, you know. I mean, it
Uh,
might be on Nintendo platform, but the fact that you're on a Nintendo platform is that bullet point. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So like that bullet point's pretty useless. Dozens of unique puzzles. I mean that tells me there's not very much content in the game. That's an anti-selling right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, telling me that you harness three elements and not showing them, it tells me that those three elements are probably very generic, and there's only three things you can really do in the game, and again, an anti-selling point. You
Yeah.
know, the three unique areas again tells me that this game is going to be over in 5-10 minutes. It's not going to last very
Yeah.
long, and an anti-selling point. Like, like,
Yeah.
like these bullet points are not selling me on the game. They're retracting from me. So like,
Yeah.
I cannot in any good faith give it a
And
solid F.
again, like the game was released in 2018. That was still during when games were still, being aimed on the lower and cheap side. But I
Not
don't
that lower and cheaper.
see like $5 of a game here, unfortunately.
Yeah, like from the Steam page, I don't even see a 99-cent game.
Mm.
I mean, from what I've seen you play of the game, certainly, yeah. But from
You know,
the
yeah.
Steam page itself, like charging anything above free seems like a ripoff. Because this store pages, ooh, you know, I
Yeah.
think I'm honestly being generous by going with the F push on this about this game page because
Yeah. And I think I'll lean F minus F for me. So let's get to the title card.
which is the first ever time we've ever had to
Scroll
scroll
down.
down to get
Usually
to the
the
title card.
about this game page is like so long that we have to scroll up.
Yeah. And
And
even on ones that don't include much into it, it's right beside it rather than we have to scroll down.
yeah,
You know,
that's not
and
good.
this is, yeah, that's again something else that, leans me towards that F minus
Yeah.
on that about this game
So
page.
we have two tags, not even the
And they're
best
give me
tags.
tags.
Yeah. It's missing single player, action. Maybe we could squeeze puzzle in here.
Yeah. I mean, it said puzzles in the thing, although
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a tag that would be available on that,
Let's
but
see.
it might be. I don't know. But either way, they're definitely missing action, the one that counts. And
Mm-hmm.
if puzzles on here, that one would definitely count too. I mean,
Yep.
indie and casual aren't going to get you really anybody.
Yeah, they are
And
they're the
give me,
placeholder tags. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Those are the tags that you get. You have like when we look for three tags, we look for one good tag and two gimmies.
Yeah.
And anything beyond that is great. This one has the two gimmies, no main tag. So this is pretty close to no tags. You could essentially call this no tags.
Yeah. So great. Oh, I'm sorry. So we go down. We have developer publisher the same name, but it's a studio. We visited
Which
the
is good.
website, which is not good at all.
Oh, that website is horrible.
We have no
Where's the
social,
Discord? There's no Discord. There's no Twitter.
no
There's no Facebook.
YouTube.
There's no YouTube. There's no nothing here except for
Yep.
that website. And looking at that website, I would rather there be absolutely nothing because that
Yeah.
website, anybody who clicks, who were at least curious enough to click that button, will immediately leave after clicking that button
Mm.
because that website just says, yeah, no,
Yeah.
you
And
don't want to
remember
be
what
here.
we've said. It's better to have no website than a low quality looking one.
And that is one. I was expecting a lower quality website than what we got with it, but it was still very, very low quality.
Yeah. So grade wise for this, we don't even have the bare minimum.
Yeah, we don't even have we you know they we might as well say they have no genre tags, but we give them, at least some credit there. And the only thing else they had is a website, which is decrediting them, not crediting them. So like, I think F minus is
Yeah.
is way too high of a grade for this. I think like F minus 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 or like G, X, Z, something, some kind of grade that is the lowest grade we have ever
If we
issued
give it an
ever
X,
in
that
the
make it
history
as
of
a D mod.
mankind is the
Yeah.
grade for this. This is
Yeah.
this is the easiest place to possibly succeed. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, everything on here shows that everything on the store page tells me that they don't care.
And the problem, again, is that the reason why the genre tags are so important is that this is how Steam publicizes your game.
Yeah.
Steam.
Although with everything else here, I don't see people that find it being interested in it.
Mm-hmm. And
And
so,
I know that you played it and it was, you enjoyed the game. It
yeah.
looked interesting to me.
But
But like
again,
this
gameplay.
store page
Yeah.
is not showing a single bit of that. This game page is showing this is a shit game that has nothing to offer you. It has no content, no quality, no length, no nothing.
Yeah. So,
It's
title card, I think for me, I'm going to give it an F minus outside of us inventing a new score. But,
I'm going to invent a new score, F triple minus.
mm-mm. So, grade wise overall. So, we gave the trailer an F minus. I don't
There's a
think we,
thumbnail an F minus.
or I may have given it an F. I may have been a little bit kinder, but
Yeah, I
I
think you were
don't.
too kind.
I don't think we've actually gave this one anything higher than an F.
Yeah, we
Maybe.
haven't, and
Yeah.
we've definitely given it a lot of stuff lower than F,
Yeah.
especially that title card,
Yeah. So I
which is
think.
the least important thing, but still,
Yeah. So I think grade wise.
this is an F minus. This
Eh,
is a overall, like I'm almost tempted to give it below an F minus, like an F double minus kind of thing for this. Like this.
I've seen again. There have been some really bad store pages we've done,
But we haven't done one this bad on the show. This is the worst one we've ever done on the show, I believe.
and so many of the elements bring it down. Like even if we were to give it an F, there's so many F minuses that you know each F minus pushes it a little bit further back and back and back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like this is impressively bad.
Also, there's something I'm actually really confused about. So the witch's name is Candy. So Candy is going for Candy then.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's very
I
weird.
just read this. There's a sentence. You play the Candy Happy Witch Candy. Something about that reads very wrong to my ears.
Yeah, very very. Oh,
All right. So I think that's going to do it. So one game that has some good potential, one game that did not have potential, and unfortunately, like we say, when we talk to developers and we see developers like do postmortems, they ask, how did my game fail, or so and so. Unfortunately, in a lot of those cases, we can spot relatively easy some of the major reasons why a game didn't do well.
yeah, and the store page is definitely one of the reasons why Candy Raid fell very very hard.
Yeah,
There's I'm honestly surprised there are 6 user reviews with this store page. Like, being released in 2018. Like, I suspect even if this page was released in 2015, with the quality that was on here, I'm honestly surprised it has over 1 user review
mm,
because like this is bad. Like I have seen asset flips with better store pages than this.
mm.
And Those pages are awful.
Yeah, and I just got a press key for a game that I'm going to show Sharp when the show is over. That could be another F minus very quickly, like just like looking
Uh-uh.
at. So maybe we'll do that one for next time and just scare Shark. But with that, we're going to wrap things up for this week's show. As a very important point, we're going to be moving the live versions of An Inquiries to Mondays at around 4 p.m. ET, starting with our next show. So keep that in mind. And as
Yeah, and it
always,
won't be this coming Monday because that's just like what, 3 days
4 days,
from now?
5 days, yeah. Oh no,
Yeah,
4 days, yeah. So the
but
next
it'll be the
show will
Monday.
be August 30th when we do it live.
Hmm.
And if you are, once again, a developer who's looking for help with their store page and want us to review it, please get in touch.
Yep. And if you're a developer releasing a game, I would say at least get in touch with us before. I would try to get one not only before it releases, but at least time enough to correct anything well
Hmm.
before release. So I would say try to get us a store page 3 to 6 months before you actually release your game, because that'll give you ample time to make any changes, and maybe get a second spot on the show afterwards,
Yeah,
so that we can
and we
regrade it.
yeah, and we do re-review store pages as well if they get enough work done to them.
Hmm.
So you'll find links to all of our social medias and Discords and Patrons and all that good stuff down in the descriptions.
Yep, and that's for both Josh and I, and also lick the smash button and smash the like button on both of our YouTube channels, and come back for more.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more about game design and game development, be sure to check out the Safely Streamcast Sundays, starting around 4 p.m. ET on our channels. But that is going to do it. So, with all that said, come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, whereas in the art and science of games. And until our next show, have a great day.
Yeah.